and welcome to Planet NOLA. This is the podcast where I, your host, Mary Jacobs, talk to people in New Orleans that I think are cool or doing cool things. Just some people I want to shine some more light on. Today, this beautiful day, I have been joined by my friend, local comedian, graphic designer, artist, owner of Boat. All around very inspiring and funny and cool and lovely person, Laura Sanders.
Hello.
Hi. Did you like your intro?
I loved it. It made me sound much richer than I am. Say owner of Boat. Like,
I feel like owner of Boat was relevant.
I'm not technically even owner of Boat until I'm engaged to.
You're
boat
engaged
owner.
to the boat.
Yes, the boat and I are betrothed in the future.
The nuptials are pending for you and that boat
and this boat. Yeah, but
do you guys own it together, like in like the metaphoric way?
Oh, sure. And like we've been together long enough that everything is pretty 50-50 at this point.
What I tell Kristen all the time is what's yours is ours and what's mine is mine.
Yeah, just like that. Just like that. Yes.
When I feel like Kristen's watching today and she's giggling. She's in the room today. She's usually not in the room.
But yeah, you're like, I'm so happy to share everything you own 50-50.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
I feel like with boat stuff, boat is mine when it's time to like do fun boat stuff. And then when he's like, this boat is yours, you need to do like maintenance on the boat. I'm like, I don't know. It seems like this is your dream. That I'm supporting.
Seems like this is your responsibility.
I'm supporting you emotionally while I don't get sunburned and I don't go and work on a boat. So
I think that's a really fair trade-off.
Because
also, what is a boat if there's not a beautiful woman on the boat?
I know, right?
You are providing a service. Your labor.
When I work on the boat, I am not a beautiful woman on the boat. I look like a troll. I truly like all of the, I switch into a mode. I'm a shapeshifter. And I feel like when I have to do certain things, I switch into a mode that my friend lovingly calls skateboard kid number 2, where I like immediately go 12-year-old boy. When I get dressed up to go do shows and go out. And then when it's like work mode, I'm like, hello, I'm a rascal now.
I'm a little rascal.
I'm a little rascal here to work.
Oh my God.
But every boat needs a rascal.
Wait, where do you dock the boat at the lakefront, obviously?
Yes. So this is now I feel like this used to be like so for those of you who are listening, we just got right into boat stuff.
Well, because I genuinely want to talk a little bit about boats. I didn't know that I would want to talk about boat stuff.
So my fiance, David Lewis, is a boat captain, which sounds like I made up a boyfriend that lives in Canada. And he became a boat captain and originally was thinking of starting a business, and he still does this business that's like focusing mostly on like charters and going out in the lake and things like that. And then as a captain, he's gotten other work that isn't that. So we like got this boat to fix up for charters specifically. And now that his career has shifted away into other boat work, it's like, we have it, but we're not doing anything.
You have a boat. Now you just own a boat.
Just an old sailboat, which if anyone actually wants to own that boat, we are selling it actively right now. Yeah,
you're trying to no longer be a boat owner.
Yes.
Your status in society is going to go down like 5 notches.
Oh, but our comfort will be, except I'm a terrible commercial for this. It's so wonderful. I love owning it. I wish we couldn't.
You are not selling this boat on this podcast.
I know.
You tried,
I wish I was.
You can sponsor the podcast.
I feel like my Tinder lately has just been Facebook Marketplace, just people asking about this boat that I've posted photos of. That there's just like every day I have to like copy and paste being like, here's more photos.
You can make a Tinder for the boat.
I
bet you would sell it faster.
I should make a Tinder for the boat.
Think
All
about
right,
it.
I gotta go.
Think about it. Why are people not using Tinder in this ingenious way? Think of all the men holding fish on Tinder.
It'll be me holding this boat.
It'll just be a boat, and they get to it, and they're like, "Oh, this is what I don't want a girlfriend. I just want a boat."
Oh my God, yeah. And like boats are referred to in like the female pronouns all the time.
I'm telling you, you can make a Tinder for the boat.
When I'm like, yeah, she's real beautiful. She's 41 feet long. Like I always feel a little weird, like
disgusting.
Like I feel like I have like a horse that I'm horny for when I describe this boat.
You're betraying our entire gender, also.
But it's like I like it kind of.
You are a gender betrayer.
Wow, we got there fast. It is like 4 minutes into this podcast, and we have found out that I've betrayed my gender. Ooh, wow.
I'm just kidding.
We're getting to the bottom of it right away.
I think it's funny that we call things she, especially boats, because boats aren't like especially feminine in any way.
Well, they're curvy. They're like curvy. They got good
Okay,
lines.
all right, I see that.
I feel like there is definitely like I like my women like I like my boat kind of
Keep
balance.
telling me how a boat is like a woman, Laura.
If a boat is like me as a woman, it's like bottom heavy, weeble wobbles, does not fall down. Charming, but requires.
Wait, hold on. Things fall overboard. You don't know where they're at.
Yeah,
They're
exactly. Lose a lot of things in it and around it. I'm very slow.
Boats sometimes are fast though, right?
But a lot of the boats, like this sailboat we're dealing with, is like a slow and steady, and that's me. Yeah, I'm not like what kind of boat would you be if you were a boat? I'm not like a jet ski. I think I am like a bottom heavy old sailboat.
I'd be a party boat.
Ooh, like a pontoon?
Like a pontoon that gets rented out to parties.
Okay.
Because I am the good
Not
kind.
like a yacht. You just like a.
No, I want the everyday man.
You want like we're on vacation.
I want middle class America to be able to party on me. Those are the people that know how to party.
Your tagline. Middle class America, party on me. Come on. Yeah, I can
like
see
they
that.
have enough money to rent out a boat, but not a private boat, not a yacht. It's a party pontoon.
Yeah, you don't want like assholes on you,
right?
I mean, they might be if they're middle America, but
do you know
anybody?
Wait,
could be.
I have a funny story about a pontoon boat. When I was working on Windy in the Caribbean.
Oh yeah.
On Antigua, the boats that we were renting for like to travel us to and from, because we were filming like in open water a lot, or we were filming like on like little rocks in the middle of the like really truly ridiculous places.
Yeah.
So we would have everybody on pontoon boats, like the party ones, the party boats. Oh
yeah, like
that
the rental.
They would rent out in Antigua to tourists, and so we would rent like 2 or 3 of these a day, and that's like the crews were like split between them, and we'd have to like pass trays of food and everything. But the funniest part is that because they were renting the pontoon boat out, it included everything. So it included all the booze. And the pontoon boats, I think when they have like a big party or a more expensive party, they would have like a full bar. But like every pontoon boat just out the gate, all the packages include like a giant Gatorade thing full of rum punch.
Oh my God.
So every day there was just a giant thing of rum punch. And some days at the end of the day, we would just be like, go, 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 go,
yeah.
Go. Like it was, or it was like a
would
thing where
people
it'd be
drink it during the shoot, or would it be very?
I didn't.
Okay, I was gonna say because I was like that would be terrifying to me. That's like recipe for.
We would. I remember always like as soon as the shoot was over and we were sailing back to land, it was always like now we drink. Because you get. I mean, seasick, you know?
Well, and like, it's not comfortable to be. So the few times, so part of like this, I've been a deckhand a few times for like paying clients. And it's like, you'd think it's like, oh my God, you're on a boat, you want to drink champagne and whatever. But when you were like responsible for the safety of people in that scenario, you're like, oh no, I don't want to be drunk right now. Like it's so, because there'll be clients that are like,
be on like,
yes,
on.
They'll be like, oh my God, do you want some champagne? Have some with us. And I'm like, why would you want that? That's like offering the bus driver a fucking shot. Where you're like, I'm not in charge of this thing. Like I have to drive. Why are you?
Yeah, do you understand what we're floating in the middle of like a water?
I know, like we're just
floating here.
Yeah.
Nothing is tethering us. We are anything could happen.
Yeah, but I feel like people do like equate boats with booze so much that they're just like, oh no, you're allowed to be drunk on this. And I'm like, why would that be reasonable?
The laws just don't exist.
Yes.
Like the laws of nature. Like you just drink while you drive this vehicle.
Yeah, because it's floating.
It's floating. It's different.
Yeah, because if you fall out of it,
we don't have to
you'll
keep
drown.
talking about boats. I was mostly curious, like, because I know you have to dock it, so that means you have to be around other boat people, and you guys aren't like boat people that I imagine you're around.
Well, I feel like one of the cool things, I do feel like getting to know like different like cultures of like subcultures of groups of people is like very interesting to me. So I'm like, oh yeah, like there's this whole community of like boating people and boat enthusiasts, and they do like Wednesday night races and everything else, that whenever I meet like, because I feel like I grew up in the like comedy culture and like design culture of like things I'm passionate about. And so then you get into this like whole other block of people and you're like, oh my God, they all have like their own drama and their own like old wise dude and their own like troublemaker. And it's like meeting like a brand new boy band or something that has to do all with boating, where
it's real.
It's been definitely interesting to like meet all of the people. And it's just been wild because like before we started going to Wednesday night races, like Lake Pontchartrain and like anything behind the flood wall, I had just like never seen or looked at before. It's like this giant part of New Orleans that so many people don't access, or like,
where does it by? What are you talking about?
Like going out on Lake Pontchartrain, or like Orleans Marina is literally like behind a flood wall.
Whoa.
So like there's just a big tan wall, and that's what most people see. And then you drive in there and there's like hundreds of boats.
I've been there. Yeah. I've been there because I went there.
Oh yeah, we did the
something.
Wide Awakes thing there. Yeah. We got out the vote there. We helped democracy there.
Oh right. Yeah. That's what we did.
Yeah, we had like a flotilla.
It was a very impactful day for me.
Yeah, that's why Biden won.
That is why.
We did it. We got him.
We did it on the boats
Yes.
to each other. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I didn't understand about that whole thing. I was like, we're just going to be on boats looking at each other? Like, are there
I think it was
other people looking at us?
I think there was other cities doing it. It was like a social media, like, we care. And it was like a reaction because I feel like a lot of boat people were like very like doing Trump stuff all the time.
That makes
and so
sense.
we were like a pro voting
Okay, that makes sense.
boat place.
Fine,
And that, Mary, you were doing the arm painting. You like painted the like logo and
Yeah.
you painted one on my arm and I was like, this looks so cool. And I immediately smeared it like all over my body because I was so sweaty and covered in sunscreen.
You're about to say it usually dries pretty fast.
No, I truly like that fast was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is, and I was like, cool. I'm just
That's your
now,
teenage boy aesthetic.
Yeah, I was a chimney sweep. That was part of it.
Laura, I want to talk a little bit about Bear With Me.
Okay.
I think like Bear With Me is actually how I know who you are.
That is true.
Because when I was briefly dabbling in stand-up for the first time in New Orleans, that was the mic that I was doing. I didn't do any other mics. It was just that mic.
And that's how I know who you are. So it does make sense that that's correct.
How we know.
Where I'm not like, we went to school together.
No. Or we know this person or that person.
No.
But now since then, we've crossed in other ways. Mm-hmm. Just like your partner, the flotilla thing. Like, I don't even know how.
Yeah. I feel like we just keep overlapping in
just
various
little ways
ways.
here and there.
And now we're friends. So we just know each other.
And we took our first photo together.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight.
It
happened.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that happened.
I'm glad for us too.
I've been talking about taking that photo with you all summer.
I know, we've really been building it up. So everyone, I hope you all like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bear With Me. I hosted from, I think, 2017 until this year. And then I quit this year.
You did quit this
year.
year.
And it felt great. It's still a great mic. Everyone who's listening to this.
Oh, it's the best.
The mic's not over.
No,
I'm
still
just
going on.
I'm just because every other host who had started it moved away, and that's so they naturally stopped hosting it. And then I was like, I don't really plan on moving away from New Orleans,
but I feel done here.
but I feel really like I was like, but I've done this amount too much, and I was like doing it. And again, still my favorite mic to go to in the city, still a great mic.
Yeah.
But the hosting energy is very it reminds me of like when my dog had puppies. When I was like a little kid, my golden retriever had a bunch of puppies, and there was just like a certain point where the puppies were still trying to like latch on to her tits and get milk, and she was like very mean to them, and I was like, why is Duffy so mean to these puppies?
And
I was like, and that was me.
You were
where like they were like, people would ask me very reasonable questions and like just be as needy as open mic kids are, and I would be like, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, you're
and
like,
I'm like, oh, I can't, I have to leave.
You're getting old and crotchety.
Yeah, I was just getting like,
I mean, here's the thing. I think that there is space for being old and crotchety.
Sure.
You earned it at some point, and I get what you're saying. Like it sounds like you just it might just sound like you were transitioning. You were done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had done what you felt like you wanted to do, and you got out of it what you needed to get out of it, and now you're done. That's fine. But I want to make a case for being crotchety because
an argument for being crotchety.
Yeah, because you ran that mic for all those years. There's a system in place. It's very easy to understand. People just get anxious, and it is what it is. You're very gentle and giving with your energy, probably exhaustingly so.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be crotchety. You know, it doesn't make you a bad person.
No, I don't think it makes you a bad person. I don't think it's just like naturally what my vibe is. And I feel like
that's true.
That was something that was like such a special thing for so long for me that I was like, I don't want... it was the thing where I was like, oh, I don't want this to be something I like don't like.
Yeah.
And now I get to like go and just do the mic sometimes while other people host it, and I gotta say,
better.
Ooh, that's fun.
Better.
That I get to show up, and then if I don't like what's going on, I can leave.
You can leave.
I can leave the room. I can leave. Yeah.
You're not on the line anymore.
No, I don't have to like be just like like I don't have to just stay. Like there was once I took my sister to an open mic when she had a broken ankle, and I sat her, and it was in a crowded bar, and she sat in the corner, and she could never leave, and she had to see the whole show. And it was truly, I remember being like, that's one of the worst things I could ever do to someone. And I was doing that to myself every Monday. so yeah, I feel like it felt like a good thing. I'm so grateful I did it. I feel like I met a lot of like and got to collaborate with a lot of great friends through that experience. And
you gave so much of yourself to that, and like the work of running something like that is so community important. It's important to the community. Like,
yes,
we need people. If we love comedy and we love stand up and we want it to be successful in New Orleans, we want the scene to grow. We need people like you that are like, all right, time to do my service, and like run a really great mic and give all of our people a place to workshop their stuff so they can get better, so the scene can get better. So it's like literally a service to the community you love, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, no matter how long you do that, you've done it. Like the fact that you did it at all is it's truly like, you great. You one of the good ones.
Thanks. Oh, thanks.
It's appreciated, you know? Because it's like, when's there going to be some like, when are you going to get your Oscar for this, you know? Like,
I know. I feel that way especially about the Henahan brothers who run the Carrollton open mic on Wednesdays. They, like, my first experience ever doing stand-up in New Orleans was at that mic with them. And then, like, and I like remember it. So like I was like so nervous and everything else. And like they are like, some people give them the reputation of being crotchety or whatever, but I think they're the case of like, they run it extremely professionally.
Yeah.
And they have for longer than anyone else has done that. And like that is the mic that has like lasted. Yeah. Where I'm like very proud of Bear With Me, and I tend to like that vibe of the mic more. And it's like close to my house, and it's more of like, it has a more like feminist vibe.
Of course. That's why I like it.
Also, real pro move. My phone is dinging behind me.
How? I thought you put it on
I
airplane.
did. I put it on Do Not Disturb.
You go. She walks in and she goes, putting my phone on Do Not Disturb.
I literally
said it
did.
out loud and like gesticulated.
And now it's just like bing, bing, binging next to me. How? And I'm just, okay. Silent mode on. I put it on Do Not Disturb though, so I don't understand.
What was the notification? Was it a text?
Oh, do you know what it is?
What? You didn't put your phone on Do Not Disturb?
No, it's that. This is how cute I am. When my phone's on Do Not Disturb, my mom and my sister can still bing through.
Oh my God. You are...
Hi, Mom. Hi, Bethany.
You're so... Before we started, Laura was like, I just have to text my family thread to let them know that I won't be available for an hour.
Because we're worriers.
Oh my God. That's you're very Midwestern, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that was also from
it's like a trope. The ultra considerate politeness.
Yeah. And I'm like very just like organically into my family. Like I like I actually like them. It's not even like some Midwesterners I feel that way because we are a guilt-based culture.
It's like you're biting through.
Yeah. Where I like for them, I'm like, oh no, they're like my buds.
Yeah,
so
you
I like don't want them to worry because I like, are you a natural warrior? I was raised in like the Catholic fear.
I am a natural warrior.
Yeah. So I feel like if I like try to get a hold of someone and I can't get a hold of them, I'm like imagining the many different ways that they've died.
Every time. I get it from my mom, and every time Kristen calls me or my mom calls me, I will answer as soon as possible, even if I'm doing anything, because I'm always like, I have to answer this because what's something wrong. So it's like I'll be in the middle of working, and then I wind up being like resentful towards Kristen because I'm like, why did you call me in the middle of the workday? Like I was working, and she was like, you didn't have to answer, and I'm like, yes I did, because what if something goes wrong? So every time I pick up the phone,
voicemail, like the voicemail's like I know, but that's like when I there's definitely been times where like I'll call my mom and she'll answer and then she'll be like, Ashley, honey, because she teaches at an all girls high school, and she'll be like, I need you to come over here with that. And I was like, you're in the middle of a rehearsal, like you don't have to.
That's what my mom did today.
Yeah,
I called my mom because there was a guy outside of her house driving really slow and pointing to the house. I'm pretty sure it's my uncle that I cannot stand. If he's listening, fuck you, Uncle Kirk. Bad person, but it was really weirding me out because I was like, this is weird. I couldn't really tell if it was him. And so I called my mom because I was like, Mom, does Uncle Kirk drive a Jeep Patriot? And she was like, I don't know. And she was really short. And I was like, oh. I was like, because there's like this guy. I started explaining it to her. And she's like, I don't know what he drives. She was like, but I got to go on the other line. I was like, Mom!
Yeah, like you don't have to.
You answered the phone.
I know.
And let me explain to you this whole situation.
And then they're like, gotta go.
And she probably was at work. I looked at the phone after I got the phone. And I was like, oh, it's 3:30. Like she's at work right now. She shouldn't have answered my call. But I do the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like, and like the whole idea of like needing to be on demand all the time is so like gross to me, and yet I still feel like I like owe that to people.
Same. Yeah. Absolutely same.
Yeah, where I'm like, I should just like leave my phone somewhere.
Yeah.
And not give it a care in the world, and then I'm like, oh wait, but I'll feel bad about it.
I struggle because I love talking to people so much.
No.
So it's like I know. So it's like and you know this about me, but like anytime someone texts me or I text someone and they text back, I'm like, this gets all my attention right now.
Yeah.
Because I do love talking to my friends so much. So I'm always on my phone because I'm not with all my friends all the time, you know?
Yeah. That you're like, it's like the chewing gum of talking to your friends in person. Where you're like, I can simulate being in a conversation in person.
Love it.
I feel like that's why we got to know each other so fast, as we're both aggressive friend makers.
We are.
I remember my friend Rebecca, even, I was talking to her about, she's one of the people that I am friends with, hey, Rebecca, if you're listening, but she is not aggressive friend maker, but a very, very cool person. So I am very willing to like track those people down. And be like, I will be as affectionate and patient and like all over you. And I have no ego about it. Like, I was like, I will like you.
Yeah.
Like, belligerently. Like, I will just be so about you that like you either are gonna hate me or you're gonna be my friend.
That's exactly, we do the same exact thing.
Yeah,
we are love bombers.
Yes. Where I'm like, I will be
toxic.
But no, I feel like I'm actually supportive.
No, me too. It comes from an authentic place.
Yes.
Where I'm just like, whenever I really want to be friends with somebody, I'm like, you have to understand, like, you should be friends with me. Like, I got a lot to give.
Oh, so much to give.
I sometimes, especially now that I'm like on the internet more, I feel like there's a lot of people that like aggressively pursue a friendship with me, but in this way that just feels kind of bad. Like it feels, I feel a bit objectified.
Yeah, that's like there's a fakeness to some of it where you're feeling a little like, are you trying to collect me?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And sometimes I'm like, also in those situations you can feel there's a difference because it's like they want something from me, but they don't necessarily have anything to give to me friendship wise. Like they're not.
And there's no natural organic conversation before that. It's like,
right,
hey girl, how you doing? Wondering if I could get this thing versus
or
like
there is natural conversation, but it's like it was just like it wasn't like this deep connection. Like we click. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know when you click with people but when I am, again, I think you're the same way. When we are aggressively seeking friendships, we have a lot to offer because we're very fun, we're very supportive, we're very loving, and we're fucking funny.
Yeah,
and
we're great.
We got stuff to bring to the table. So
I give out like deep, genuine compliments on the regular to people that are but also I feel like the reason that I'm that way is like as much as I'm like, oh, I'm an aggressive friend maker. It's because I choose really lovely people to know and like have in my circle. So I feel like it's like all it doesn't feel like that like fake networky thing. Like one of my favorite things that happens to me.
Oh, the fake networky thing
oh my God,
is really hard too.
More than once someone has like, and this is at Bear With Me, at the Bear With Me for a while. It truly was one of the funniest moments where someone got up and was like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. We're going to miss you so much, Lauren. And I just like truly thought it was hilarious. Like I just like burst out laughing because it was just truly like, oh my God, Lauren, you're the best. And it's like, yeah, like it's a nice tell. It's like a litmus test to be like, oh, you
that's
truly
rough. Well,
don't
to be fair, there was
me.
a moment where there was Laura and Lauren, but still,
yes,
but
no, and I don't get upset when someone calls me Lauren because one, if they confuse me with Lauren Malaria, she's cool as hell. So like I'm like not offended. But it's just that thing where I'm like, yeah, I feel like if
you are not
if I truly meant all of this to you,
I
wouldn't mix this up at all. Like I wouldn't be like I just feel like even if my friend's name is very close to someone else's name, I'm not like, God, I messed it up.
Just like mutilating it.
And I get it, like via text it happens with very close friends because I'm like, they also are friends with Lauren. So like it'll just auto correct and that never bothers me. Like if a friend texts me that, I'm never like I'll give them a little shit playfully, but it doesn't actually offend me. And it didn't offend me there because it's just so funny.
It's very funny.
Benjamin Hoffman once at a show afterwards just said, we are clowns that no one respects. And I still think it's one of the funniest things that he's ever said to me. And it's like very true sometimes where as much as you're like, this is my service. This is my going away ball for my big thing I've done. And everyone gives a shit. And you're like, do you know what's hilarious? No one actually does. Like they truly.
That's not true.
Like, no, but it is like, I'm not saying that in a negative way. It is true. And that they're like, will I get stage time next week? Thanks.
It's
cool.
what I was just saying. Like, you're not going to get an Oscar for your service to your community. And it's like, why do you do it? And it's like, because you believe in it.
I did a show the other night and someone was like, are you a comedian in New Orleans? And I was like, yeah, I am. Nice to meet you.
And then you just start crying.
I know. I just was like,
start crying.
And they're like, where do you perform? And I'm just like,
where don't I fucking perform?
Comedy House NOLA.
That's exactly the right answer.
That is. So I feel like there is like a whole crop of comedians there that like meet me. And they're like,
true.
oh, you do comedy in town? And I'm like, sure do.
Yeah.
But so that's the one.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, so
if
if
y'all don't know, I'll tell you. Comedy House NOLA used to be called The New Movement. You can Google it and see that they don't exist anymore and why. And then they rebranded, turned into a stand-up theater, and went downtown to market towards tourists and beginner comics that don't know about their stuff, or that do know about their stuff and don't care.
Yeah, where they're like, it doesn't personally affect me.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I talk about this all the time. I guess actually I don't talk about it here, but I get why people perform there. I get it.
Yeah.
They're getting something out of it, and that's what the owners are doing too. They're getting something out of them performing there. I totally understand it, but I also, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to support them. And if you're a comedian and you perform there, you'll never be on this podcast. Like, that's just like my simple, that's my one form of protest.
Yeah,
like,
that is, where you're like, that's the one thing I can have. Because I feel like, for as much as I think this is a stupid phrase in Catholicism, but it's like, love the sinner, hate the sin. Where I'm like, there's like many super talented people that do that. And I'm like, okay, I just can't because.
Exactly. Yeah. Truly. I know a ton of people that are still performing there. And it's the same exact thing. Love the sinner, hate the sin. It's like, I get why you're doing it. I don't agree with it. And it is what it is. Yeah. But that's got to burn when those people are like, oh, you do comedy?
Well, that's the fun thing is that I think like 7 years ago, it would have burned so badly. And now I'm just like, I have like...
You've risen above it.
I have more of a sense of humor about myself than I used to.
Yes.
In all things. Like in all creative things. Not to say I don't have like a huge ego sometimes and I like want to be taken so seriously in so many things. But I feel like when I started comedy and like when I started design and illustration and all those things, there's such a like... I want to be this thing. I want to like prove that I'm this cool person that does this cool thing and I want everyone to know.
The validation.
And now, and now I'm like way more into the like doing part of it where I'm like, when I feel like, and honestly that results in me like doing it less, where I feel like before I was like, you got to grind, you got to 10,000 hours at the open mics. And now I'm like, oh yeah, it makes total sense that some people wouldn't know that I do this because they don't see me that often. I'm like in and out of town a lot. And like I don't perform where they perform. And I like I remember once in like Columbus, Ohio, which is where I like my comedy birthplace. But some guy
my
was
comedy birthplace. My origin story.
Yes, my
tonight on Laura Sanders Behind the Comic.
She started at Surly Girl Saloon.
You may have heard of Laura Sanders from her history with Bear With Me here in New Orleans.
And the theme of this conversation is like, you probably actually haven't heard of her. Like that is, and she's okay with that. Like,
and she is completely secure in the fact that you may not know who she is.
Because there's one guy
that's okay.
He literally tried to say as an insult that I like didn't have a draw. And I was like, yeah. Duh. Like, I know I'm not famous. Like, it was truly, I'm like, yeah, I don't have a draw as a Columbus, Ohio comedian who's like in her 20s who just like, it just was such a funny thing. It was like, she doesn't have much of a draw.
Who said this?
Some like random show producer who was like doing it to, because I was like, I think.
Here?
No, this was Columbus.
Oh, okay.
I would never allow that disrespect.
Never here in my seat.
And here I am
with Laura Sanders. We dive into the time she was crossed by an evil man in Columbus, Ohio.
The one time
a man dared cross it. Okay, we have to take a break.
Okay.
We'll take a break. We'll be back.
Bye.
Hello, it's your host, Mary Jacobs. I'm sitting here with my producer, Carrie Mulder, and we are so excited to be bringing you Planet NOLA this episode and every episode. We really believe in this podcast and the work it's doing in New Orleans to build community, to reach out to people, and we really love what we do.
Yeah, we love our guests, we love our audience, our listeners, we love each other. It's just a big love fest.
So if you love this podcast and you believe in what we're doing, it would mean the world to us if you considered subscribing to our Patreon. We've just launched it. The lowest tier is $5, and we are just really trying to get this podcast to pay for itself a little bit, maybe support ourselves just a little bit more. We're both creative people who have a lot of projects, and this is a big one in our lives, and there is bonus content.
Yeah, it's really fun. It takes a deep dive into the episode, kind of circle back to some of the topics. They've been fun.
Yeah, we basically record with the guests as soon as we're done their episode and do a more candid version of their podcast. It's shorter, but it's more self-effacing, and it feels like just real, you know?
It's BTS, behind the scenes.
It's the BTS. So if you want more Planet NOLA content, you could subscribe to our Patreon and get it. It would mean so much to us. So, okay, we'll let you go back to your episode now, but please consider.
Thank you.
Bye. This episode of Planet NOLA is brought to you by Vitality Community Fitness. Vitality is a functional training gym located in Metairie, Louisiana. And at Vitality, we focus on members as individuals. That's right. We don't lump people together. We don't assume that everybody has the same goals when they step into our gym. We also don't push things like body ideals or diet culture. We try to focus on the full person, and we try to give an experience that matches that. We've got incredible coaches. We've got an incredible community. And if you're looking for a place to call your new gym home, consider checking us out. We offer a 3 free class trial. That's right. Literally no commitment. You can try 3 of our classes in a week to see if our gym is for you, because ultimately we want people who want to be there. And if it sounds like this might be the space for you, please consider checking us out. You can go to vitalitycommunityfitness.com, click the contact button, and get started. Okay, we're back from the break. I feel like we've been back for the break for a minute now, but whatever.
Yeah. We're officially back now.
We're still here with Laura Sanders, or Lauren, as some might call her.
As those who truly love me call me.
As your number one fans may refer to you. Their little nickname for you.
Truly. I was just at a party and a woman did the coolest. It was at the Camp Runamuck thing that I do, which is like a bartender camp for those of you who want to Google it. It's a very long thing to explain. But this one woman did this beautiful thing in which like a drunk guy came up to the group of people and he was like, I appreciated y'all so much. I want I want you to sign my pants. And she just goes, name the women. And it like struck fear in my heart also. But I was like, it's a thing of like, because I do think I do work. I'm not great at knowing people's names, but I try to work hard to do it as like a sign of respect and like how to pronounce people's names. And like he couldn't name any of us, of course. No. And I was like, that is truly... When people slide into the podcast DMs now and say, I love your podcast so much, I'd like to be a guest, which has happened a few times. But the last time it happened, it was like a young guy. I had followed him because I was following a bunch of people, as you do on an Instagram. Yeah. And then he immediately followed me back. And then he immediately DM'd me and was like, hey, I love your podcast so much. I love what you're doing. Like, I'd love to be on. I'm a musician, all these things. And I was like, what's your favorite episode? Name one. But of course they're all online, so he could do it. And he did. And, maybe he is a fan or maybe he isn't. But it is funny how quickly people will be like, I have something to say. Kristen's cousin has asked to be on my podcast like 3 or 4 times now, every time one of us sees him. And he is still yet to listen to a single episode. That is. I feel like I had listened to an episode like when it first came out. And then I think even like I got asked and I was like, I should listen to a few more episodes. I appreciate that. To get some under the belt. I appreciate that. Also, I feel like I was rooting for it from the beginning because I did the artwork. And so it was like a very I was invested in this succeeding. And they were good episodes, I have to say. Thank you so much. And I do not listen to podcasts that often. Not to be blessed. I don't like female comedians, but I like you. That is. Not to be I don't like female comedians, but I can't stand you. Yes, that is. We should talk about your design work. So that's another beautiful thing about you is that you are a graphic designer, artist, illustrator. All the things. I'm a doodler. And you designed the Planet NOLA logo. I did, which was so fun. And I really feel like it was the first time we've ever collaborated. It was. And it was kind of like the launch pad of the relationship too, because we were periphery friends, acquaintance friends. Like we obviously really liked each other's energy. I was just a fan of your work. And I tried to hire you first. Yes. And then, I can't afford you because you're extremely very good at your job. But then we got to barter, which is so fun. And then we got to barter, which is something you really do with people you trust and like. Yes. And because I feel like sometimes people are with bartering that it's more, or with friends that it's all more loosey-goosey. But I feel like it is a thing I feel like that I got a good vibe from you is that we were very here's a very specific contract we'll both sign and that sort of thing. I feel like some of my very good friends, my friend Lelia, I met as first I worked for her. Mm-hmm. And that's how we became friends is I first laid out her book that she wrote. Right. And it's a thing where you really get to know someone where you're oh, they're you get to test drive a friendship when you do freelance work for them. Right. Because you're how good are they at setting boundaries? How good are they expressing what they need? How good are they communicating? Are they bullshit? Yeah. It's so it's really nice that I feel like the friendships I've had that are born out of working for someone first are so satisfying because you're oh, this is I got to see what you were like first. Yeah, collaborating makes you learn a lot about a person. Oh my gosh, yes. So fast. And I've been talking about this all day actually. It's I'm a big collaborator. I do nothing alone. Yeah. Ever, and I know very well that I
all of my things are born because I've had another person in my corner, no matter what it is.
Oh, absolutely. When Addie Nahra, who does strength, she does personal training and stuff. She I did like an interview with her because I did her logo, and so we bartered, and I get a lot of cool stuff by being like, I'll draw some stuff for you.
At the gym too, we barter a lot, and it really works out for us.
It's so great. And she was like, you literally are like a textbook. Like, I literally just read a textbook about externally motivated people, and you are like textbook that. Like, you are fitting all of the things. So like collaborations, where you have someone like hold you up to a certain standard.
Yeah. It's good for neurodivergence.
Yeah. And I'm just such a people person that I always say, like, I love a reveal. I like find so much delight in like showing things off and celebrating things with other people that I do not have the like deep, just like I feel like my fiance David is like very like, I am internally curious. I'm a lifelong learner, and like knowing more things is satisfaction enough because I'm curious about those things.
Same.
And I'm like, I want a treat. I want someone to reward me
that's
with praise.
That's
I'm like
true.
so like praise and external motivated. I'm not that. Like, I want to be that. I want to be someone who's like,
I'm curious, but I'm not very hardworking.
Yes. Like the follow through on my curiosity is like,
I think you are equally very curious and like to learn.
But most of the time, I'm so curious about my main curiosity and enthusiasm in life is about other people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like all the cool things I learn are because someone else was enthusiastic about something, and I'm like, can you teach me that? I want to hang out with you more. Like, I just feel like my like truly like
human connection.
Yes, my like doofy like head over heels enthusiasm for other human beings is what has resulted in me like learning so much and getting so many cool experiences, because I'm like, hell yeah, I know a lot of cool people.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best. We live very similarly.
Yes, and I think it is all like external motivation.
Yeah.
Because if I just was like, I'll just stay in my studio and paint, like, I don't do that. Where I'm literally like, my career path is like art, but people tell me when I'm done.
I was like, about to say, like, freelancing is so hard then. Well, I guess it's so perfect because it gives you the external deadline. But I struggle as someone, I guess I'm not really a freelancer, but I work for myself.
Yeah.
I struggle even with a deadline. There's no one there watching me. You know what I mean? It's just me moving myself, and that can be hard.
It's truly
Sometimes
all
I wish
tricks.
I had somebody to do this, even though I have no respect for authority.
That is the trick, is you have to be your own authority, or like you will just resent. And honestly, it's all like how I started stand-up comedy is I named a date and I told a bunch of people that I was going to start that day.
I do this all the time.
Yes. And so it's like, that's how I get a project done, is I like email the client, and I'm in the joyful enough place that like most of the time I really like my clients. So like that's a nice thing that I've like done it long enough, and I don't care about money enough, I guess. But like that most of the time I'm working for someone that I want them to be happy with what I'm doing for them and me.
Yeah.
And so I'll just email them and be like, these are the deadlines, and they're all imaginary,
right?
But they are necessary for me to live at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If someone's like, take your time, I don't care when you get it done, I'm like, I will make up a date and tell you, because
it will not.
I will never ever do it. No matter what.
I struggle with that. Yeah.
It's so that's I feel like one of the hardest things of like being your own. And I always think that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not even imposter syndrome, but it's like that, like when a puppy grows and you don't notice it growing, that like now I look back at like me as a baby freelancer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was like so bad at so many things that I'm good at now.
I was just talking about this with Jasmine, because she's starting a small business and she's in that beginning part, and I'm just and she's like, it's just a lot and it's hard, and it's like, yeah, it's hard until like you get better at stuff, and then new things are hard, and then bigger things are hard, and it's just hard until one day I think it'll be like old news. Like we'll just be able to do it with our eyes closed. Like we got a system and everything is like, I think we're like laying the grooves right now as creatives. Like we're still like really getting ourselves into our grooves.
Well, it's the thing I heard about like about fitness that was like the workouts don't get any easier, you get that like stronger sort of thing. And I feel like that with like, and it's again like what book is it? It's like Elizabeth Gilbert, her Big Magic book.
Big Magic. That's my
She talks about shit sandwiches.
That's my favorite book.
Oh my god, it's great. It's funny. I never read Eat, Pray, Love, but I've like listened to Big Magic over and over.
Every time.
By the way, I'm not an Eat, Pray, Love bitch, but I like, which is so rude. You could like that book. Why am I judgy? It could be amazing.
Why do I do it too though?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's like the like layover I have from like in my early 20s, I was totally like, I'm more of a guy's girl. I'll have some whiskey. Like I was one of those idiots that was like really trying to prove that she was like cool around. Because I was in stand-up comedy in Columbus, Ohio
you were surviving
in like 2010.
You were surviving.
Yes.
I was the same way, but I was in a music community. Yeah. You know, like it's like.
So you're like, oh yeah, I'm one of the guys. I feel this way about women shouldn't get to feel sexy. Like it's just really like, and so I feel like, but I do feel like the like shit sandwich part of it all is very like, oh yeah, small business, owning a small business will always be hard. Working for yourself will always be hard. But I'm like, but so is giving 40 hours of your life away to a 9. Like the last time I had a 9 to 5, I was 23. I'm 36 now. And I only had it for like maybe a year out of like, I worked there for like a year and it was a great job. Mm-hmm. It was like, I worked at Ohio State after I graduated from there. And like my bosses were nice. Oh, the insurance was like, I could masturbate to how good that insurance was. Like now it was such good health insurance. And like the people were lovely and it was very like supportive. It wasn't one of those design firms where you're working like 80 hours a week. They were like 40 hours a week. Nice, like lovely time. And I was like, okay, if I hate this, I'm never going to like a 9 to 5 job. Because this is like the best I'll ever have it.
Yeah.
And I hate it. So gotta go. And now I'm eating this shit sandwich, which I enjoy more.
It's a good, I think it's the best version.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. It's like, I would rather suffer and be my own boss.
Yes.
than have an actual boss or have to like answer to anyone.
Yeah. And I say that because I also am like, I like have to note that I know that I'm extremely privileged and like the support system I have. And like, I have a situation where if I'm ever flat on my ass, I have family members I can go to. Like,
Same.
Yeah. So I'm like, I get that I don't want to be like, everyone should just do this. Like, I get that it's easier for some people and harder for others. But like, I am grateful that. And it's so funny because I like still always have like self-labeled myself as uptight, and then I'm like, you haven't had like a real job in like a decade and a half, and I'm like, I'm a little uptight, and I'm like, no, you were when you 14 years ago, and even then you weren't. You just thought you were. Like it's truly, we're like, it's so funny that like a label can stick with you. You're like, well, I'm just kind of like a 9 to 5, and it's like you literally have never experienced a 9 to 5 job more than like 6 months of your life. It feels like.
I have never done it.
Oh yeah, I did. I had a Kohl's credit card. I like lived.
You had a Kohl's credit card?
I had a Kohl's credit card because I needed.
Because you were shopping there that much?
I needed business clothes. Because I like graduated college and went right into this job.
Any job that requires business clothes is not a job that you
It was like business casual. It was like the most casual. I would always do equations on my way out to work. I feel like I'm such a stand-up that I'm like, have y'all ever done this? And I'm like, they are doing their dishes a week from now listening to this. This is not, they cannot respond to me. But have y'all ever, like, I would do negotiations with my sister because we lived together when I was working this job. And so I would be like, is this professional enough? And she would be like, put on more makeup. Or like there'd be a balance of like, okay, your shoes are trash, so wear more makeup. Or like, okay, you're dressed up, so you can wear stupid shoes. Or like, it was always like an equation being like, am I passing as business casual?
Yeah.
And that was always the balance.
I always call it work drag.
Yes.
Because it's, or for me, I call it scamouflage.
Camouflage, that's so good.
Because like when you're in a 9 to 5 and you're a degenerate, you're just like, you guys just gonna let me be here? Or
yeah, you're like, I shouldn't be allowed.
I steal all the Post-its. Like,
yeah, it was like truly like you're like, I'm tricking all of you.
Yeah, like I eat your lunches. Like
but
I'm a menace.
But then really like everybody's just always tricking everyone.
I know.
That's the thing.
I know that.
That's like you were getting tricked the whole time you thought you were tricking. Your boss at that job was tricking you even harder than you were tricking them.
Truly, that's like, why you've got to milk the system.
Yes.
And take the Post-its.
Yeah. And like when you like, because I think about like as you get like closer to like, because even like Dave was becoming a captain and like learning all of these things, and he's like doing stuff that I can never imagine another adult that I know doing. Where it's like handling these like 80-foot boats and stuff, and even he's like doing all the research and reading these books about it, and it's like, yeah, the first time anyone does anything, they've never done it before, and like and as you get closer and closer to the top and anything, you're like, oh, no one knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
And it's a relief, but it's also terrifying because you're like, oh, no one knows.
Yeah. It like, just makes you realize, for me, it makes me realize how much I could do. I'm regularly like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. Like,
and that you already do.
I already do everything I want to do, but like, I just have this like, and I think you do too. Like we have an imagination. Like if I want something, I can imagine myself doing it and then I do it if I want.
Yeah. And your life is literally formatted to do that also. Like I like think about some people I talk to that have like the full-time jobs and they're like, well, around the weekends and like at night, I like figure all this stuff out. And I was like, oh yeah, you have like this whole other.
Yeah, you have these 8 hours a day where you're answering to somebody and you can't really be authentic to what your own rhythms and stuff are.
Yeah.
And that's really where I struggle because, once again, being neurodivergent, my brain does not just click on at any time. Like, I can go through long periods of inactivity and then like an hour where I accomplish like 2 months of work for somebody else.
Yeah,
but I get it done. Like not an hour, but you know what I'm saying.
No, that it's like totally. Oh, and like riding the waves of that flow where I feel like I used to. I still even now I'm shaking like the 9 to 5 kind of like myth of that format of a work day.
Yeah, sometimes you really do a work day.
Yeah, I try to, and I feel like I often. The days I'm more successful is like when I let that go, where I'm like, oh, you can just schedule anything and then go and like, and follow the flow. I have to do it a little bit for when I'm being creative. Cause like I'm a sleepy lady. Yeah. I can't be that creative at night. Like I can perform, like I can do stand up cause that's just like naturally. And also daytime stand up. I've done it. Not fun. Yeah. It like feels weird. Yeah. Earliest I've ever done stand up was 8 a.m. once. I had to go on a radio show and do a set at 8 in the morning to 2 radio DJs and that's it.
Oh,
that was a weird time.
That sounds bad. That sounds like COVID time Zoom.
Yes.
Stand-up.
Yeah. It was like truly a weird thing. But I feel like for timing, I try to be creative like during the day because otherwise I'll get sleepy or distracted.
That's smart. I don't hold myself to like literally anything and it's problematic. Like because you're like that. And then also my friend Ben is like that. Ben is really great at just like working 12 hours without being told. Like he can just like every day is a work day. He overworked. He's a workaholic.
I was gonna say I'm really good at working for 3 hours without being told. I was like, I'm not good.
He's a workaholic, but I am impressed by him because it's creative stuff he's doing. Like, and he's holding himself accountable to it. I'm like, man, how do you just do it on a schedule? My brain I don't know how to do it on a schedule.
Do you do tomato timers? We're really getting into some interesting conversation now.
I don't do tomato timers.
I feel like it's like the little 25-minute segment of like you work for 20. Yeah.
No,
I just call it tomato timers. But yeah.
I don't do that.
That's my only, because again, being externally motivated. And I truly will, I joke with Lelia about this all the time. I will reward myself like a dog. Like I will literally be like, you get a glass full of chocolate chips if you get this task done. Or like you get like, I joked about when I was like, that I was always my own stay-at-home wife where I'm like, I get to like stay at home and work, but also I like make the money for me.
Right.
And then I like also am like my own like owner and my own dog where I'm like, I'm truly like, if you get this done, you can have a little ice cream.
Lately what's working for me, just a little ice cream.
I know, just a little treat.
Lately I've been thinking about how a task will make me feel and that motivates me. So my brain, sometimes it's not enough to just get it done because it needs to get done and nothing will motivate me. But then like, for example, I really needed to clean this room out for the bag sale because I had a podcast here on today, like 2 days after that.
Oh, you're right. That was so recent.
Yeah. And it was so many
and it was like everything.
And that was a lot of work and I did it all myself, with a little bit of help from Kristen. But I didn't want to do that. And but in my brain, I kept thinking, I'm going to feel really good when this room's cleared. Like, I know I'm going to like the way it feels.
Yeah, like, let me imagine the feeling of this thing
and that, like,
done.
Motivated me.
Oh, yeah.
And I got it done, like, super fast. Because I was just excited to have this place cleaned up. And and now it feels great in here.
And it looks, I guess they can't see it if it's on YouTube. Because I'm like, if you're listening to this, it does look great in here.
Thank you. And if you're on YouTube watching, thank you.
Hey, thanks. I once was on a show where they were interviewing me about like basically whether or not women had to be pretty in comedy. But like it was like a discussion. It was like a thoughtful local NPR station discussion. And I was like so honored that they invited me, but they did not tell me that it was also being video recorded. And so I was like, I'm literally in a discussion of whether or not I should be attractive, and they're not telling me ahead of time that there will be video of this discussion. And it just truly felt like a trap because I was like running late because I'm always running late. And then I was like, who cares? I was like, it's radio. My voice sounds great. No. And then they're like, we'll be filming you as you in like your disheveled state are like, I think we should just be able to be funny. Like that is.
Speaking of Mary Devin again, she was the second person I ever interviewed for the podcast.
Oh, she was the first one I ever listened to.
Yeah,
yeah,
she was the second person I ever interviewed. So when she got out of her car, I went outside to greet her. And as she was walking up, I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, I forgot to tell you that we take video."
Which is also the rudest thing to say to a person when you first see them.
No, but luckily it was Mary Devin, and she just like laughed.
Yes.
And knew what I meant. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like, I wasn't trying to say, you look like shit.
I had a friend, oh my God, Katie East, also a very funny comedian,
Yes.
she used to drive, Katie, I hope you're okay with me telling the story because it's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard, but she used to drive for Lyft, and she would stop in, her husband was a chef at Barcadia at the time, and so she would stop in Barcadia to use the bathrooms because she like knew the staff and whatever, so she would be able to like park, use the bathroom real quick, leave, but she's like, but I forgot that sometimes on Saturday nights that meant like, she was in just like yoga pants, no makeup, like Lyft driving clothes, but walking into Saturday night at Barcadia, which is like
so
like rows and rows of fuck me pumps and like that sort of look.
Yeah.
And so once in the bathroom, she was just waiting to go to the bathroom, and a woman in front of her went, "Are you okay?" And she was just like, "Yeah, I'm not ill just because I'm not like dressed up." Like it was just, and the woman after saying it was like, "Are you okay?" And then she like noticed after she said it that she was like, "Oh my God, I just asked if the woman if she was okay because she was suffering from not looking cute to me." Like this is, and Katie had to be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I'm just not dressed up." Like it was just, I'm like, oh my God. And that woman was trying to be so polite. She was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you lost?" It's
Oh,
like,
that's
no,
so funny.
I'm
I
just
did
not
the same
like
exact
that.
thing. I did the
Yeah,
same
you're
exact
like, "Oh my
thing.
God, I forgot to tell you. You should have looked better."
She really didn't look bad. I just knew
No,
her.
yes, you know that if you told her that she would like have had
But she
done
was
a
my
different
second
look.
one ever.
Yeah.
Like, I was, getting my feet wet. So now I send a text that says, "Warning, we do film video as well." So you can get as cute. And then sometimes I have to also add, but you don't have to get so, you don't have to worry about it.
You're allowed to be as ugly as you want. You can be totally ugly if you feel like it.
Though. Like, I want people to feel comfortable. I'm like,
and then
you
they
don't
show
have
up
to get
and you're
dressed up.
you're like, good. You didn't feel pressured to feel too beautiful. And they're like, Jesus Christ, what does that mean? That is. Good. You didn't get too dressed up. And they're like, I thought I did.
Laura, do you moved here from Ohio? Do you feel like this is the last place for you? You're gonna relocate one day?
I feel like last place is a really bold statement. I feel like that's me like monkey paw begging to get killed by a bus or something. Like I feel like that's like I can't be like, this is the last place.
Yeah.
I don't have any like I'm gonna get out of here urge at all. I like it here very much, and I think even my goal is to be like not nomadic, but it like if they're like, okay, if you had $1 million, what would you do? And it would be like
somewhere else.
Yeah,
Me too.
I would snowbird. I would
too.
snowbird because I have like lots of family up in the Midwest. I love it up there in the summertime, and I would love the ability to like live in like New York, LA for like a month at a time, like 1 month of the year max, and like do all their good shows. Really like get that sort of inspiring thing because I will say like. Here, if I had to choose one, if they were like, you can either, obviously I choose here because I live here. The proof that I would choose here is in that I actively live here. And I like love it as an artistic city. And just like I just like generally, I am grateful for New Orleans in many different ways. And so if like, I picture myself this being my like always kind of here place. But I wish if I had more unlimited money, I would like spend.
Yeah, I think I would do the same thing.
I would not move to other places, but I would like spend more time in other places.
Yeah, I feel the same exact way.
Yeah.
I feel like we could do that.
I know. I feel like that's
like an attainable future for us.
Yeah, because I'm already kind of doing it as far as like visiting. And now it's so nice. As you evolve in comedy, your people you crash with also evolve in their life. And now I went on a tour once where we called it the sick cat tour, where everywhere we crashed had a sick cat somehow. I was like, is this like a witch's curse? Like, why is there always a sick cat where I am? And then now I'm like it's never, with guy comics, it's so funny because it's always like, they got a girlfriend and she likes to keep a nice home. And so I get like a cutie little guest room and it feels really nice. So like anytime a comic I know is like, moves in with a girlfriend, I'm like, oh hell yeah. Like that is, I'm like, I'm gonna stay with them.
There's about to be soap in the shower.
Yes, I know. I'm about to like have a bed that they like made intentionally for me to
with
stay
clean
in.
sheets.
That's not like a yoga mat
or
on
a
a sweaty couch. Yeah. So I feel like crashing at people's houses now is more enjoyable because it's like
You've been in the game.
I've been in the game long enough that they are now, and I'm just older, so they have better, so even like my guy
houses.
friends, that people with houses or like just apartments that they keep nicer, you know, than they used to. They're like less bachelory.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like that can be a model that I'm already living that I'd like to expand upon. Whereas like, here's always the home base. And then I like go other places and come. Because I also feel like with any creative thing, you need outside inspiration. Like
always.
If you're here all the time, like there's hilarious comedians here. There's incredible artists here. Of course there are. But there's something to be said for like, going to LA and getting on a lineup where you're like, oh my God, these other comics are like next level, and that you can hang with them, but you still get your ass kicked a little bit. And I love that feeling. Yeah, and you can't get that here.
Yeah, it's true.
So I feel like that's
you can't get that here when you're the best of the best here.
Yeah,
so.
just like when you're the best one.
It's hard. It's hard when you're as experienced as this woman over here.
Dude, it's like cheating. I'm like showing up like I've been doing it for years and years and years. And so I'm like, part of me is like, oh no. But I'm like, no, I am very good at it. So I feel like it's a feeling of like, I love going to places where they're better than me.
I agree. I know exactly what you mean, but I love being a big fish in a small pond. And I say it all the time here on Planet NOLA. I know my city is small.
and I love it.
Okay, what I'm making in LA? No. Do I live in LA? No.
That's why I don't live there. I love that you're doing like backwards shit talk where you're like, would I make it there? Absolutely not. Do I know my boundaries? 100%. Will I thrive in the small pond I've given myself?
I absolutely
bet your ass. Like that is, truly. Because I do feel like when I made the decision of like, I feel like everyone, like every comic at one point is like, everyone's like, you should have to move to New York now. It is your birthright. Right. It is time to go on you. And I just like, I remember I was like, I went to New York once with my friend and we were having a blast and I was like, I think we could live here. And then she was like, all we've been doing is drinking margaritas. And I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't a life here. This is a visit here. That's what that's like. And I even remember trying to convince Dave because I was like, and he was like, yeah, if you need to move, I get it. He was like, I probably won't move to New York, but if you need to move there, like, I'm not going to stop you. I support that. He's like, but knowing you, it doesn't seem like you want to. It seems like, and he's like, and again, if you want to, I support you. I'll pack your bags. I want you to do this. And like, we went on a trip to New York to like see if I should live there basically. And on the way in, there was like these big, beautiful, like fields of grass. And I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And they were like in front of the New York skyline. And Jay's like, hey, I don't think that should be the thing you find beautiful if you're looking to move here. Like, it's like the wide open nature spaces. And I was like, that's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. And then I was like, well, I'll just go there for a year and do what I can. And then and it's like, no, it's whatever creative thing you're doing is a lifelong creative thing. Yeah. So you can't be like, I'll go get famous in a year and then I'll move wherever. It's like, no, you have to build where you want to live.
Yeah, you better want to live there.
Yes.
You better want to live there for a minute.
Yeah. So like the every day of it, and I have friends that moved there that are like, oh my God, I've never wanted to live anywhere else. And I was like, okay, respect for that. I like understand why it's magical. Yeah. But here I'm just like, oh, I can like go on walks and like ride my bikes to places.
And
like
there's trees everywhere.
Yeah. And it like smells good sometimes. Most of the time.
And there's good food and music and people and all the things that keep people here.
And like, I mean, moving from Ohio, I'm like, hey, it's very cool not to have it be so damn white all the time. Like that is a thing that
I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like growing up.
Yeah, where it was like I like didn't realize the lack of diversity in my scenery at all until I moved here, and I was like, oh damn, this
is a place where Black people live.
Yes, like
half of the
in every part of it, like in the parts where I go too, not just
everywhere.
Like this segregated. Because like Columbus is a city, it's a capital city, but it's like so segregated.
That's wild.
Or at least it was 7 years. I mean, and it still is. I'm not like at least it was like maybe they fixed it. It's like
more gentrified.
Yeah, that is not
anything. Well, Laura, can you believe that we've come to the end of our time?
Oh my God, it went so fast.
I know, it goes so fast all the time.
Oh my gosh.
I ask everybody the same last question. You might know what's coming. My question is, who do you think should be on this podcast?
Geneva Joy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she's like just one hilarious to talk to. I feel like in listening to the podcast episodes I've listened to of yours, it's people with like many irons and many different fires. Yes. And she's one of those where she's like very multi-talented, hilarious to talk to, and I think also has the transplant tale of like bringing value to the city and like working hard to like be a useful part of the city and not just
Yeah.
take from the city.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I love her. She's so funny.
She's cool as hell.
cracks
Yeah.
me up.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great. I appreciate you so much for this.
Oh, I appreciate you. This was a great time.
I'm so glad you came and
Yeah.
talked on Planet NOLA.
I am too. I'm glad. This is the first time I've ever talked on a podcast that I made the logo for.
Well, here
Full
she
circle.
is. Our logo. If you like our logo, you can hire this person and follow Laura on Instagram.
Yeah. At Yay Laura Sanders.
And y'all, thank you so much for listening. Be in touch. Thank you again to this episode's guest. Planet NOLA is produced by Carrie Mulder and Mary Jacobs. If you liked what you heard here, please consider subscribing to us on YouTube or all your social media platforms and pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. Also, if you really, really liked this episode, think about subscribing to our Patreon where we have tons of bonus content from this episode and more. It starts at just $5 a month and it would mean the world to us. Thanks so much, y'all, and be in touch.